Previously recap on episode 1, The Devil's Downfall. Sasha Morrison built a $12 billion empire on ruthlessness and stolen ideas. But when rival CEO Simone Jenkins uncovers evidence of fraud and insider trading, Sasha faces a choice: marry within 30 days or spend 20 years in federal prison. Desperate, she turns to the one person who knows all her secrets: Ethan Cross, the assistant she's tormented for 3 years. The same man whose brilliant strategies she's claimed as her own. The same man she's humiliated, exploited, and treated like furniture. Sasha gets on her knees and begs him to marry her. Ethan agrees, $5 million, COO position. 6 months, then divorce. But the contract isn't the only thing Ethan signed. Hidden in his drafts folder sits an unsent email, an acceptance of Simone's offer to destroy Sasha's empire from the inside. Now Ethan's meeting with Simone, and Sasha's left with one terrifying question: is he her savior or her destroyer? Ethan Cross was kissing his wife. Not the chaste professional kiss they'd practiced. Not the brief peck designed for cameras and witnesses. This was real, desperate, hungry. Her fingers twisted in his hair, his hand cupping her jaw like she was precious. Both of them breathing too hard when they finally broke apart. "What the hell was that?" Sasha whispered, eyes wide with panic. "That," Ethan said, voice rough, "was a mistake." They stood in the shadowed alcove of Le Bernardin's wine cellar, hidden from the 100 guests dining upstairs. Hidden from the photographers. Hidden from everyone who expected them to be the perfect, devoted couple, except they weren't hiding from each other anymore. "We can't," Sasha started. "I know. This is fake. We agreed. I know." "Then why did you—" "Because 3 hours ago, Simone Jenkins offered me everything." Ethan stepped back, putting distance between them. "Everything you have, everything you are. And all I had to do was betray you." Sasha's face went white. "Did you take it?" Ethan's smile was dangerous, unreadable. "What do you think?" 3 hours earlier, you signed her contract, but you could still sign mine." Simone Jenkins stood framed against floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan glittering behind her like a crown of diamonds. Her crimson Armani dress was the exact shade of fresh blood. Deliberate. Everything about Simone was deliberate. Ethan sat across from her, expression revealing nothing. This was the meeting Sasha had been panicking about. The one that would determine whether he was savior or destroyer. "I'm recently married," Ethan said carefully. "Changing jobs seems complicated." Simone's laugh cut like a knife. "Please. We both know that marriage is as real as her capacity for human emotion." She moved closer, predator energy radiating from every step. "I know everything, Ethan. I know she got on her knees in your apartment and begged. I know you made the devil in Stilettos humiliate herself. And I know you enjoyed it." His jaw tightened, the only crack in his armor. "I make it my business to know things." Simone placed a folder on the desk, thicker than anything the board had seen. "Especially about Sasha Morrison's crimes." "I've seen the evidence." "No. You've seen what I showed the board." She opened the folder, revealing photographs that could end Sasha's life. "This is what I've been saving. Tax evasion in the Caymans. Blackmail of a federal judge. And my personal favorite," she slid a photo across. Sasha, bribing that Singapore minister, her face crystal clear. Her signature on documents, undeniable proof. The evidence was devastating, irrefutable, prison guaranteeing. "She deserves to lose everything," Simone said softly. "The question is, do you want to be standing beside her when it all burns? Or do you want to hold the match?" Ethan picked up the photo, studied it. "What's your offer?" Victory flashed in Simone's eyes. VP at Jenkins Global immediately. 5 million signing bonus, same as Sasha's paying you. But when she's arrested, you become CEO of Morrison Elite. I'll ensure the board votes you in, the sympathetic victim who survived her manipulation. In exchange for? Information. Her schedule. Her vulnerabilities. When she's alone. When to strike. Simone slid a contract across the desk. Sign this, and in 6 months, you'll control 2 companies. You'll be wealthier than she ever was. More powerful than she ever dreamed. Ethan read the contract slowly, thoroughly. Simone waited, patient as death. Finally, he set it down. I'll think about it. Simone smiled like she'd already won. Don't think too long. Your performance starts tonight, and Sasha's already making mistakes. In the elevator, descending away from Simone's offer and towards Sasha's demands, Ethan stared at his reflection in the polished doors. His phone buzzed. Sasha. Dinner tonight. Le Bernardin. 8 p.m. Don't be late. We have a performance to give. He typed back. I'll be there. The elevator doors opened. Ethan Cross stepped into the sunlight, into the role of a lifetime carrying Simone's offer in his pocket and Sasha's trust, or lack thereof, in his hands. 23 days until a wedding that hadn't happened yet. 6 months until a divorce that might never come. And 2 women waiting to see which version of Ethan Cross would survive. 3 hours later, he'd be kissing his wife in a wine cellar. 3 hours later, she'd ask if he betrayed her. 3 hours later, he still wouldn't know his own answer. Location. Simone Jenkins' office. Afternoon, 3 p.m. Ethan Cross arrived at Jenkins' global headquarters at precisely 2:53 p.m. 7 minutes early for a 3 o'clock meeting. The kind of punctuality that spoke of respect, or perhaps anxiety. He gave his name to the receptionist, a woman who looked at him with the knowing smile of someone who'd been told to expect him. Miss Jenkins will be with you shortly. Please, have a seat. Shortly turned into 7 minutes. Exactly 7. Ethan watched the clock, recognizing the power play for what it was. Simone Jenkins making him wait just long enough to feel like a supplicant. Just long enough to remember she was the one granting audience. At precisely 3:00 p.m., double doors opened. Mr. Cross, thank you for waiting. The assistant's smile was professional. Rehearsed. Miss Jenkins will see you now? The office was all glass and steel, a temple to corporate power suspended 40 stories above Manhattan. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city like a conquest already won. Simone's desk, black lacquer and chrome, sat positioned so visitors had to approach with the sun in their eyes. Every detail calculated, every element designed to dominate. Simone Jenkins stood silhouetted against the windows, a slim figure in crimson harmony that looked like war paint. She turned as Ethan entered, her smile sharp enough to cut. Ethan? Finally. She moved toward him with predatory grace. Champagne? I took the liberty of opening your favorite, Veuve Clicquot, La Grande Dame, 2008. Ethan's eyes narrowed fractionally. How did she know his preferred champagne? I'm fine, thank you. Of course you are. You're always fine, aren't you? She poured herself a glass anyway, the bubbles catching light like tiny explosions. Even after 3 years of being treated like disposable help by a woman who wouldn't recognize your value if it bankrupted her. She gestured to the leather chair across from her desk. Please, sit. Ethan sat, noting the folder already positioned on the desk. Thick. Official. Damning. I've been watching you for 2 years, Ethan. Simone settled into her chair, the picture of relaxed confidence. Long before Sasha's current predicament? You're wasted on her, a Wharton graduate, with your strategic mind, your vision, your capability, fetching dry cleaning and scheduling meetings. It's obscene. You seem well informed about my background. I make it my business to know talent when I see it. Unlike Sasha, I actually value the people who create value for me. She slid the folder across the desk. I also make it my business to know my enemy's vulnerabilities. And Sasha Morrison has so many. Ethan didn't reach for the folder. I've seen evidence. No, you've seen what I showed the board. Just enough to force her hand. This. She tapped the folder. This is everything. Tax evasion in the Cayman Islands. Blackmail of federal Judge Morrison. No relation to her, ironically. Evidence tampering in the Chen wrongful termination lawsuit. Bribes to foreign officials in Singapore, Malaysia, and Taiwan. She opened the folder, revealing photographs that would end Sasha's freedom permanently. Clear shots of Sasha with Minister Wong, an envelope changing hands. Documents with her signature authorizing illegal payments. Bank records showing wire transfers to offshore accounts. She's not just ruthless, Ethan. She's a sociopath who destroys everyone she touches, including you. Ethan studied the evidence with the same careful attention he'd given every project Sasha had stolen. Why show me this? Because in 23 days you're marrying her, and I'm offering you a choice. Simone leaned forward, intensity replacing casual confidence. VP at Jenkins Global, effective immediately. You can keep your COO title at Morrison Elite for appearances, but your real work would be here. $5 million signing bonus. I know she offered you the same, so let's call that even. But here's what she can't give you. She pulled out the second contract. When Sasha's arrested, and she will be arrested, you become CEO of Morrison Elite. I'll ensure the board votes you in. The sympathetic victim, manipulated into a fraudulent marriage, heroically stepping up to save the company from her corruption. You'd control both companies. We'd merge them eventually. Build something worthy of your talent instead of her ego. In exchange for information, her schedule, where she'll be vulnerable, when she's alone. Wedding plans that might reveal the marriage is fraudulent. Anything that helps me time the strike perfectly. Simone's smile was razor-blade thin. All you have to do is feed me what I need. And when she falls, you rise. Ethan's expression remained unreadable. Why do you need me? You already have enough evidence to destroy her. Evidence puts her in prison. You give me total destruction. Simone's mask slipped, revealing something raw beneath. I want her empire, her reputation, her sanity. I want her to lose everything the way she's made. Others lose everything. The way she destroyed my mother. The personal edge surprised Ethan. Your mother? Patricia Jenkins worked for Sasha's parents. Morrison Real Estate Development. Simone's voice hardened. They accused her of embezzlement. Destroyed her career. She died broken 6 months later. Sasha was 16 then, but she learned from the best. The Morrison family legacy. Destroying anyone in their path. She stood, pacing to the windows. I know what it's like to be underestimated by a Morrison, Ethan. To watch someone take credit for your parents' work, your parents' life. Sasha's just continuing the family tradition. But this time? She turned, backlit by Manhattan. This time, Morrison loses. Ethan picked up the contract, read it slowly, methodically. The terms were generous. The revenge was justified. 3 years of humiliation could be erased with one signature. And if I say no, then you marry a criminal and hope she doesn't drag you down with her when the FBI comes knocking. Which they will. Soon. Simone returned to her desk. But you won't say no. You're too smart for that. Too ambitious. Too angry. You think you know me? I know revenge when I see it. I invented it. She slid a pen across the desk. Sign now, and I'll give you 3 days to gather initial intelligence before I expect a report. Or walk away, play devoted husband, and watch your wife destroy you the way she's destroyed everyone else. Ethan set the contract down unsigned. I'll think about it. Simone's smile widened, victorious despite the non-answer. Don't think too long. Your wedding is in 23 days. Sasha's already making mistakes. Desperate women always do. And when she slips, I'll be ready. The question is, will you be standing beside her? Or will you be the one who pushed? Ethan stood, leaving the contract on her desk. Thank you for your time, Miss Jenkins. Simone, please. We're going to be working together soon. He didn't confirm or deny. Just walked to the door with measured steps, every movement controlled. Ethan? Simone called as he reached the threshold. She humiliated you. I'm offering you dignity and revenge wrapped in billions. All you have to do is take it. Revenge is expensive, Ethan said quietly. What's the real cost? Only your conscience. But you already sold that to survive 3 years with her, didn't you? The door closed behind him, with the soft click of a trap springing shut. Simone's assistant materialized from the adjoining office. Think he'll take it? He's more conflicted than I expected. Simone returned to her windows, watching Ethan's figure disappear into the lobby far below. But that actually works better. How? Conflicted men make mistakes. They hesitate. They second-guess. They slip up in front of their wives and reveal more than they intended. She touched the unsigned contract, his fingerprints still warm on the paper. And when Ethan Cross makes his inevitable mistake, Sasha Morrison will do what she always does. Lash out, push away, destroy the one person who could save her. And I'll be waiting to offer him comfort. And a pen. In the elevator, Ethan Cross stared at his reflection in the polished steel doors. His phone buzzed. Sasha. Dinner tonight. Le Bernardin. 8 p.m. Don't be late. We have a performance to give. He typed back. I'll be there. But as the elevator descended, away from Simone's offer, toward Sasha's demands, one question burned. Which performance would be real? Location. Le Bernardin. Saturday evening. 8 p.m. Sasha Morrison arrived at Le Bernardin at 7:47 p.m. 13 minutes early. Control through punctuality, one of the few advantages she still possessed in this increasingly uncontrollable arrangement. The sapphire blue dress clung to her body like a second skin. Ely Saab, $12,000, and exactly the color Ethan had demanded she wear. She hated that she'd complied. Hated more that the color looked stunning on her, made her eyes deeper, her skin luminous. He'd known. Somehow he'd known. Miss Morrison, what a pleasure. The maitre d' recognized her immediately, as he should. She'd dined here 100 times, though never on a date, never with someone who mattered. Your table is ready. The table mattered. Corner position, visible from 3 angles. Elevated slightly so other diners could observe without being obvious about it. Perfect for being seen. For performance. Sasha sat, ordered sparkling water, and tried to calm her racing heart. First public appearance as a couple. The board would hear about this. Media would cover it. Simone would be watching. And somewhere, Ethan was coming from his meeting with the woman who wanted to destroy her, carrying answers Sasha desperately needed, and probably wouldn't get. At precisely 8 p.m., Ethan Cross walked through the door. Navy Tom Ford suit, no tie, white shirt open at the collar. More relaxed than she'd ever seen him at work. He moved differently too, confident, easy, like he belonged here. Like he'd been dining at Michelin-starred restaurants his entire life instead of 3 years fetching her takeout. Their eyes met across the restaurant. He smiled. Genuine warmth that made nearby diners glance over, charmed by the obvious affection. Sasha's stomach knotted. Performance? It's just performance. Ethan reached the table and leaned down, pressing a kiss to her cheek. His lips were warm against her skin, his cologne. Bleu de Chanel, familiar now, enveloping her. Sasha froze, every muscle locking. Too close, too real, too much. "You look beautiful," he said, loud enough for the couple at the next table to hear. Then quieter. "Breathe, Sasha. You're supposed to be happy to see me." She forced her face into something resembling delight. "You're late," she whispered. "I'm exactly on time." He settled into his chair, draping his jacket over the back with casual elegance. "Smile. They're watching?" She smiled. Teeth clenched behind it. The sommelier appeared, presenting the wine list. Ethan barely glanced at it. The Chassagne Montrachet, 2018. Domaine Ramonet. The sommelier's eyebrows rose with respect. "Excellent choice, sir." Sasha watched this exchange, mind cataloguing another inconsistency. That wine cost $1,800 a bottle. Ethan ordered it like he bought it weekly. Where had her assistant, no, her husband, God help her, learned to navigate wine lists like that? When the sommelier departed, Ethan reached across the table, taking her hand. His fingers wrapped around hers with practiced ease, thumb stroking her knuckles. Intimate, possessive, completely for show. Sasha's entire body tensed. "What are you doing?" "Holding my fiancé's hand. Relax. We're in love, remember?" What did Simone want? The question came out sharper than intended. "Not here." "You met with the woman blackmailing me and won't tell me why?" Ethan's expression never wavered. The smile never slipped. To observers, they were having a romantic conversation. "I said, not here. Trust me." "Trust you?" Sasha's laugh was bitter, quiet. "I barely know you." His grip on her hand tightened fractionally. "You knew me well enough to steal my ideas for 3 years, to take credit for my work, to treat me like I was nothing." The words were soft, venom delivered in a lover's murmur. "Now you need me. So yes, trust me. Or pretend to. Either way, smile." She smiled. Hated him. Needed him. Couldn't tell which feeling was stronger. The wine arrived. Ethan performed the tasting ritual with the expertise of someone born to it. Approved. Watched the sommelier pour with the attention of a man who understood patience. When they were alone again, Sasha leaned forward. To others it looked intimate, conspiratorial. "Please, just tell me what she said." Ethan's eyes softened fractionally. "She offered me everything. VP position at Jenkins Global. CEO of Morrison Elite after you're arrested. $5 million. And the satisfaction of watching your empire burn." Sasha's breath caught. The wine glass trembled in her suddenly shaking hand. "Steady," Ethan murmured, covering her hand again. "Mrs. Patterson from the board is 3 tables over. She's watching. Did you—" Sasha couldn't finish the question. "Did I take it?" Ethan's smile was dangerous. "What do you think?" Before she could answer, a woman in Chanel appeared at the table. Gloria Bradford, wife of board member Marcus Bradford. All diamonds and curiosity and poorly concealed gossip hunger. "Sasha, I heard the most delicious rumors, but I simply didn't believe them." Gloria's eyes devoured every detail. "Is this your young man?" Ethan stood immediately, charm deployed like a weapon. "Ethan Cross. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Bradford." He shook her hand with the perfect amount of pressure, made eye contact with genuine warmth, asked about her husband with the kind of specific knowledge that suggested he'd done research. Sasha watched him perform, watched Gloria melt under the attention, and realized with growing dread he was better at this than she was. Almost too good. When Gloria finally departed, trailing promises to tell Marcus everything, Ethan settled back into his chair. His eyes swept the restaurant with calculated precision. "Photographer," he said quietly. "4 tables over. Telephoto lens. We need to give them something." "What?" He leaned across the table, hand sliding to cup her jaw. To observers, it looked intensely romantic, intimate, real. His lips nearly touched her ear as he whispered, "Simone showed me everything. Photos of you bribing Minister Wong, evidence of the Cayman accounts, proof of the judge blackmail. She has enough to bury you completely." Sasha's breath stuttered. And I'm here, aren't I?" He pulled back, smiling like he'd just whispered a profession of love instead of a confession of her crimes. The photographer across the room captured it. The apparent intimacy, the gentle touch, the look of devastating tenderness on Ethan's face. All fake, all perfect, all terrifying. Sasha's voice shook. "Why did you really meet her?" "To see what she knows, what she's planning, to understand exactly how she wants to destroy you." His hand slid down to her neck, fingers resting against her pulse. Could he feel it racing? "Knowledge is power, Sasha. You taught me that. Did you take her offer?" Long pause. The restaurant noise faded. Just them. This question. This moment that would define everything. "No." Relief crashed through her. "Why not?" Ethan's smile was sharp enough to draw blood. "Because watching you squirm is more satisfying when you know I chose mercy. When you know that every day I'm with you, I'm choosing not to destroy you. That's better than any revenge Simone could offer." Before Sasha could process that, Ethan signaled their waiter. "Champagne, please, your best." "Ethan, what are you—" The champagne arrived. Ethan stood, raising his glass. The restaurant's ambient noise dimmed as people noticed, turned, watched. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption." His voice carried perfectly, confident and warm. "But I have an announcement I simply can't wait to make." Sasha's heart stopped. What is he doing? This incredible woman. He gestured to Sasha, every eye in the restaurant now on her. "Has made me the happiest man alive by agreeing to marry me. Sasha Morrison, the love of my life, my future wife." The restaurant erupted in applause. Diners smiled, raised glasses, called congratulations. Ethan moved to Sasha's side, pulling her to her feet. And then he kissed her. Not the cheek kiss from earlier, not a performance peck. His hand slid into her hair, tilted her face up, and his mouth covered hers with devastating gentleness. The kiss was brief, appropriate for public, but it stole her breath, made her knees weak, sent electricity racing down her spine. Her first kiss with him, with her husband, with the man who held all her secrets and all her future in his calculating hands. It felt wrong, felt right, felt terrifying. When he pulled back, his eyes held hers with an intensity that made her forget the applauding crowd. "Perfect," he whispered. "They'll never doubt us now." Outside, paparazzi swarmed like predators scenting blood. Flashes exploded, questions shouted. Ethan's arm wrapped around Sasha's waist, protective and possessive, as he guided her through the gauntlet to the waiting car. In the back seat, finally alone, Sasha turned on him. "You could have warned me about that announcement. Where's the fun in that?" Ethan's smile was all edges. "You like control. I like watching you lose it." This isn't a game, isn't it? He shifted closer, and in the confined space, she could smell his cologne, feel his heat. You made it one when you got on your knees and begged. Now we're both playing. The question is, who's going to win? What did Simone really offer you? Sasha demanded. Everything you have. His voice dropped. And everything you don't. Which is? Freedom. From you. The words hit like a physical blow. Sasha turned away, staring out the window at Manhattan lights blurring past. They drove in silence, the space between them charged with everything unsaid, everything unresolved, everything that terrified them both. The performance was over. Or maybe it had just begun. Location, journey to Cross Estate, Sunday morning. Sasha woke to her phone, buzzing insistently on the nightstand. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, and for one disoriented moment, she forgot where she was. Then memory crashed back. Her penthouse, her bed, and somewhere beyond the elaborate pillow wall she'd constructed, Ethan Cross, her husband. The phone buzzed again. Ethan, my father wants to meet you. Today, noon. Sasha sat up, careful not to disturb the pillow barrier. On the other side, Ethan's side of the bed was already empty, made with military precision. Sasha, your father? Ethan, I told you I have family. They've seen the announcement. Everyone's seen the announcement. They want to meet my fiancé. Sasha, where? Ethan, Greenwich, Connecticut. I'll pick you up at 10. No, please. No asking, just instructions delivered with the confidence of someone who expected compliance. Sasha, that's less than 2 hours from now. Ethan, then you should start getting ready. She stared at the phone, torn between irritation at being ordered around and anxiety about meeting his family. Family. The concept felt foreign, dangerous. She hadn't had family in 17 years. Didn't know how to navigate parents, siblings, the complicated web of people who shared history and blood. 40 minutes later, she emerged from her walk-in closet in a cream Chanel suit and understated jewelry, pearls her mother had worn, one of the few things that had survived the liquidation. Conservative. Appropriate for meeting a modest middle-class family over Sunday dinner. At precisely 10 a.m., the doorman buzzed. Mr. Saw, Jean's Cross is here. Ethan waited by a Tesla Model S. Sleek, expensive, but not extravagant. The kind of car a successful professional might lease. He wore dark jeans and a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent, but nothing that screamed wealth. Ready? He opened the passenger door. Do I have a choice? You always have choices, Sasha. You just don't like the consequences of saying no. She slid into the car, the leather seats soft as butter. As they merged onto the highway heading north, Sasha studied Ethan's profile. Relaxed hands on the wheel. Classical music playing softly. Vivaldi, she thought. Everything about him seemed different outside of work, outside of their arrangement. What do I need to know about your father? She asked. He's particular, old-fashioned. Wealthy. How wealthy? Ethan's lips quirked. Comfortable. The vague answer set off alarm bells. Ethan, you'll see. They drove through Connecticut countryside, autumn leaves painting the landscape in gold and crimson. The estates grew larger, more impressive. Stone walls, gates, properties measured in acres rather than lots. Ethan turned onto a private road, trees forming a canopy overhead. Is this a shortcut? Sasha asked. No, we're here. Iron gates appeared, elaborate scrollwork spelling out words that made Sasha's heart stop. Cross Estate. Cross. Estate. Cross. As in Cross International Holdings? The gates swung open silently, and they drove through. The driveway wound through what had to be 50 acres. Manicured lawns, ancient trees, a glimpse of stables in the distance, tennis courts. A pool house, larger than most suburban homes. Then the mansion appeared. Georgian colonial brick and white columns, easily 20,000 square feet. The kind of home that had been in families for generations. Old money, real money. The kind that made Sasha's $12 billion empire look like new money pretending at legitimacy. Sasha's hands gripped her knees. What exactly does your father do? International holdings, investments, mergers. Ethan pulled up to the circular drive where a valet waited. Ethan! Her voice came out strangled. What's your father's full name? He put the car in park, turned to face her. Richard Cross. The world tilted on its axis. Richard Cross, CEO of Cross International Holdings. Net worth estimated at $15 billion, $3 billion more than her. One of the most powerful men in American business. Forbes, top 10. WSJ profiles, the man whose company acquisitions moved markets. Sasha couldn't form words. You're Richard Cross's son? Guilty. The Richard Cross? Cross International? The same. Ethan's expression was unreadable. Surprise. The car door opened. A valet in actual livery stood waiting. Sasha couldn't move. Her brain was trying to reconcile 3 years of Ethan Cross, executive assistant, with this. Estate, wealth, power beyond anything she'd imagined. You let me believe you were just an assistant. The accusation came out weak, breathless. You never asked. You assumed. Ethan exited the car, came around to her side. Coming? Sasha climbed out on shaking legs. I paid you an assistant's salary, which I donated to charity. Didn't need it. He offered his arm like they were attending a gala, not like her entire understanding of reality had just shattered. You worked for me, for 3 years. Why? Something flickered across his face. Pain, anger, old wounds not fully healed. That's between me and my father. Before she could press, a butler appeared. Actual butler. White gloves. British accent. The whole anachronistic package. Welcome home, Mr. Cross. The butler's warm smile suggested genuine affection. Your father is expecting you. Home. This was Ethan's home. This palace. This empire. This world she didn't belong in. Sasha followed Ethan through doors that opened onto a foyer, larger than her first 3 apartments combined. Marble floors. A staircase that belonged in movies about royalty. Art on the walls that she recognized from auction catalogs. Originals worth millions. Her penthouse suddenly seemed cheap. Ostentatious. New money trying too hard. This was old money. The kind that didn't need to prove anything because everyone already knew. Staff moved through hallways with quiet efficiency. Fresh flowers perfumed the air. Peonies, roses, arrangements that cost thousands. Everything was refined, tasteful, whisper quiet and in a way that screamed wealth louder than any display. Sasha's mind spiraled into panic. I made a billionaire's son fetch my coffee. I humiliated the heir to a fortune larger than mine. I treated him like he was nothing when he came from this. What kind of revenge is he planning? You look pale. Ethan's voice held amusement. Need to sit? Why didn't you tell me? For the same reason you never asked about my life. It wasn't relevant to you. His smile was sharp. I was just the assistant. Just the help. Why would you care? Where I came from? That's not fair. None of this is fair, Sasha. But here we are. The butler reappeared. Your father is in the library, Mr. Cross. And your grandmother insisted I inform you that tea in the garden is mandatory after your meeting. Her words exactly. grandmother, library, tea in the garden. This was a different universe. One with rules Sasha didn't know, traditions she'd never learned. A world she'd spent 17 years building an empire to belong to, only to discover she'd never belong. Not really. Not like Ethan, who had been born to it and walked away. Ready to meet the family? Ethan offered his arm again. Sasha took it because her legs felt unsteady, because the marble floor seemed suddenly treacherous in her 4-inch heels, because everything she thought she knew had just been revealed as illusion. Does your father know about us? The arrangement. He knows I'm engaged to my boss. That's all. Ethan, just be yourself, Sasha. His voice was soft, dangerous. Or whoever you pretend to be. You're good at that. They walked through hallways lined with family photographs. Ethan as a child. Polo lessons, yacht trips, prep school uniforms. Ethan as a teenager with people who had to be siblings. Graduation from what looked like Yale or Harvard. Family portraits spanning generations, each one radiating the same casual confidence that came from never questioning your place in the world. Everything Sasha had never had. Everything Ethan had walked away from to work for her. Why? The question burned as they approached a set of mahogany doors. Behind them waited Richard Cross, billionaire patriarch, one of the most powerful men in America. And Sasha Morrison, orphan-turned-CEO, was about to meet her fake fiancé's family while pretending her entire world hadn't just been turned inside out. Ethan squeezed her arm once. Showtime! The doors opened. Location? Cross Estate, library and gardens. The library was everything Sasha expected from old money. Floor-to-ceiling mahogany bookshelves, leather-bound volumes that had actually been read. A fireplace, large enough to stand in. And Persian rugs worth more than most cars. The scent of old books and wood polish spoke of generations of privilege. Richard Cross stood when they entered. Old-fashioned manners that had become rare in modern business. And Sasha found herself facing one of the most powerful men in American commerce. At 62, he was still commanding. Silver hair, sharp eyes that missed nothing. The kind of presence that made board members reconsider their positions before speaking. Miss Morrison? His voice was cultured, measured. I've heard a great deal about you. The tone was impossible to read. Good things? Bad things? Assessment, disguised as welcome? Sasha extended her hand, channeling every ounce of CEO confidence she possessed. Mr. Cross, your home is beautiful. Thank you. It's been in the family for 4 generations. He shook her hand with exactly the right amount of pressure. Not too firm, not too gentle. Everything calculated. Please, sit. The message was clear. You're new money. I'm old money. Know your place. A formal tea service waited on the low table between leather chairs. Actual silver, actual china. The kind of setup that required staff who knew the difference between Darjeeling and Earl Grey. Sasha perched on the edge of a chair that had probably seen a century of cross-family meetings. She glanced at Ethan, looking for what? Support? Guidance? He'd transformed again. Stiffer, more formal. The easy warmth from the car gone. This was Ethan in his father's presence. Guarded, careful, a different person entirely. Ethan tells me you run Morrison Elite Enterprises, Richard said, pouring tea with the practiced ease of someone who'd been performing this ritual his entire life. Yes, sir. 12 billion in assets across luxury goods, real estate, and technology acquisitions. Impressive for someone so young. Richard's eyes studied her like she was a balance sheet he was evaluating. How did you build it? Loaded question. Did he know her methods? Had he investigated her the way she would have investigated anyone entering her world? Hard work, strategic acquisitions, aggressive growth strategies. The corporate speak felt hollow in this room where real power didn't need to announce itself. Aggressive. Richard's smile didn't reach his eyes. Yes, I've read about your tactics in the journal. You have quite the reputation. Definite judgment there. Sasha's hands tightened around her teacup. I'm surprised you didn't tell me about your engagement sooner, Ethan, Richard continued, shifting his attention to his son. I had to learn about it from the Times announcement, like everyone else. It happened quickly, Ethan said, voice neutral. How quickly? We've been involved for some time. Kept it quiet due to workplace complications. The lie came out smoothly. Practiced. Once we decided to move forward, everything accelerated. Richard's expression suggested he didn't believe a word. Sasha could see the skepticism in the way he held his teacup, the slight tightening around his eyes. But he was too polished to call them out directly. How did your parents feel about your engagement, Miss Morrison? Richard asked. The question hit like a physical blow. Sasha's chest constricted. They passed away when I was 16. For the first time, Richard's expression softened. Fractionally, but genuinely. I'm sorry. That must have been incredibly difficult. I managed, clearly, building an empire with no family support, no financial backing, no connections. That shows remarkable resilience. It was the first real compliment, and it felt hard-won, earned. Before Sasha could respond, the library doors burst open. Richard, stop interrogating the poor girl. A tiny woman, couldn't be more than 5 feet tall, swept in like she owned the place. Which, Sasha supposed, she did. Eleanor Cross, matriarch, 78 years old and radiating more energy than people half her age. Ethan, you look thin. Are you eating? Sasha, you're absolutely beautiful. Now let's have tea in the garden where it's civilized, instead of this stuffy interrogation room. She hooked her arm through Sasha's and pulled her toward the French doors before anyone could object. Sasha found herself swept along, Richard's protests ignored, Ethan following, with what looked suspiciously like relief. The garden was manicured perfection, roses in full autumn bloom, stone pathways, a lawn that looked like it had been trimmed with scissors. A table had been set with more silver, more china, more elegant ritual. Eleanor settled Sasha into a chair and immediately took her hand. The gesture was so warm, so genuine, that Sasha felt tears prick her eyes. Welcome to the family, dear. The words hit harder than they should. Family. A concept so foreign that Sasha barely knew how to respond. You love my grandson very much, don't you? Eleanor's sharp eyes studied Sasha's face. Lie detector test. Sasha swallowed hard. Yes, very much. Eleanor patted her hand gently. Liar. But she was smiling. But you'll get there. Sasha's eyes widened. You? I've been married 52 years, darling. I know what love looks like, and I know what pretending looks like. Eleanor leaned closer, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. But whatever your reasons for this arrangement, you make him smile. That's enough for me. Before Sasha could process that revelation, chaos descended. 2 women appeared with husbands and children in tow. Ethan's sisters, clearly. Catherine, the elder at 35, had Ethan's dark hair and assessing eyes. Julia, 31, was warmer, friendlier, already pulling Sasha into a hug like they were old friends. So you're the boss, Catherine said, amusement in her voice. Ethan's told us absolutely nothing, Julia added. We're dying for details. How did this happen? Children swarmed. 3 of them, ranging from 5 to 8, transforming the elegant garden into organized chaos. A soccer ball appeared. Someone shrieked with laughter. Ethan was immediately tackled by his nephew, and Sasha watched in astonishment as her formal guarded husband became someone entirely different. He laughed. Genuine, full-throated laughter as he chased the children. Swung his niece in a circle, made silly faces that sent them into giggles. This was Ethan without armor, without resentment, without the weight of 3 years working for someone who'd treated him like he was disposable. This was who he'd been before her. "When did you know?" Julia was asking. "That he was the one?" Sasha looked at Ethan, scrambling for an answer that would sound believable. He caught her eye across the lawn and read her panic. "I can answer that," he said, moving closer. "When she stopped seeing me as an assistant and started seeing me as a man. When she realized I was someone worth knowing, not just someone useful." Truth hidden in the lie. The family sighed collectively. So romantic, so perfect. Sasha wanted to throw up. The smallest child, a girl with Ethan's eyes, climbed into Sasha's lap without asking permission. "Are you really marrying Uncle Ethan?" "Yes, sweetie." "Good." The child settled against her like she belonged there. "He's been sad for a long time. Do you make him happy?" Sasha's throat closed. She looked at Ethan, who'd gone very still. "I'm trying." The child considered this with 5-year-old seriousness. "Then you're nice." Nice. Sasha Morrison, the devil in Stilettos, Satan's mistress, the woman who'd destroyed careers and crushed competitors, had never been called nice in her life. She held the child, breathing in the scent of strawberry shampoo and innocence, and realized with devastating clarity what she'd been missing for 17 years. This warmth, this noise, this chaos of people who loved each other unconditionally. Family dinners and inside jokes, and children who climbed into your lap because they trusted you. Connection, belonging, everything her empty penthouse had never been. Richard approached quietly, watching Sasha with his granddaughter. "She likes you. Children are excellent judges of character." "She's sweet," Sasha managed. "Ethan walked away from all this 2 years ago," Richard said, voice heavy with old pain. "After his mother died, we fought about her medical care, said things that can't be unsaid. He refused his inheritance, refused contact. This is the first time he's been home in 2 years. Sasha's breath caught. 2 years. And he'd come back because of their arrangement. Because of her. "I don't know what's really happening between you two," Richard continued, holding her gaze. "I'm not a fool, Miss Morrison. That engagement happened suspiciously fast. But if you're the reason my son is home, if you're the reason he's smiling again..." He paused. "Then maybe you're exactly what he needed. Even if neither of you knows it yet." He walked away, leaving Sasha holding a child who thought she was nice, surrounded by a family that had welcomed her despite knowing something was wrong, watching the man she'd married for all the wrong reasons laugh with people who loved him, and wondering what the hell she'd gotten herself into. Location: country club. Following afternoon, Monday. "Monday? Golf is a family tradition," Richard announced over breakfast the next morning. "I've booked us a tea time at the club, 11 o'clock. Sasha looked up from her untouched croissant, panic flashing before she could hide it. Golf. She'd never held a golf club in her life. "That sounds lovely," she lied, smile frozen in place. Ethan's foot nudged hers under the table. When she glanced at him, his expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes held a question. "You don't golf, do you?" She kicked him back. "How hard can it be?" Famous last words. The Greenwich Country Club had been accepting members since 1892, and everything about it screamed exclusivity. Sasha stepped out of the car into a world of old money, so refined it didn't need to announce itself. Women in lily pulitzer and pearls, men in perfectly pressed polo shirts discussing portfolio diversification. Everyone knew everyone. Everyone belonged, except her. The stares started immediately. Polite, assessing, the kind that catalogued designer labels and found them wanting. Sasha wore Stella McCartney athleisure, $800 worth of technical fabric. But next to women in proper golf skirts and visors, she looked like she'd wandered in from a yoga class. First time at a club. Catherine appeared at her elbow, perfectly turned out in pale pink and white. I usually play at different courses, Sasha managed. Catherine's knowing smile said she'd been caught in the lie. Of course. Well, the pro shop can set you up with rentals. Come on. 20 minutes later, Sasha stood at the first tee, wearing borrowed golf shoes that pinched, holding clubs she didn't know the names of, watching Richard and Ethan execute perfect drives that sailed 200 yards down the fairway. Your turn, dear, Eleanor called from her golf cart, where she'd stationed herself to supervise. Sasha approached the tee. Ball placed on its little plastic stand, club gripped the way she'd seen on television. How hard could this be? Rich people did it for fun. It was basically just hitting a ball. Maybe let me show you the proper stance, Ethan started. I've got it, Sasha interrupted. Pride speaking. Control asserting itself even here, even now. She swung. The club connected with a satisfying crack that sent vibrations up her arms. The ball rocketed off the tee with impressive speed. Backward. Directly into the clubhouse window. Glass shattered. Alarm shrieked. A waiter carrying mimosas dove for cover. Everyone froze. That's... Sasha stared at the destruction. Unusual. Ethan covered his mouth, shoulders shaking. He was laughing. The bastard was laughing. Perhaps a second attempt, Richard suggested, voice admirably steady despite the chaos. Yes, right. Second attempt. Sasha repositioned, determined to actually hit the ball forward this time. She concentrated, visualized success, channeled every ounce of billionaire CEO confidence into this one swing. The club descended in a perfect arc, missed the ball entirely, struck the ground with the force of someone who'd spent 3 years taking out frustration on corporate rivals instead of golf courses. Dirt exploded, directly into her face. Sasha coughed, sputtered, stumbled backward with soil in her eyes, her mouth, her carefully styled hair. Mascara ran in black rivers down her cheeks. The $800 athleisure was now abstract art in browns and greens. Catherine wasn't even trying to hide her laughter anymore. Richard's lips twitched violently. Third time's the charm? Third time's the charm, Sasha agreed through gritted teeth. This time she didn't think, didn't calculate. Just gripped the club and swung with every ounce of pent-up humiliation, frustration, and desperate need to prove she could do one thing right. She connected. The ball launched like it had been fired from a cannon. Beautiful arc, perfect trajectory. Soaring through the air with the kind of power that would have made professional golfers weep. Straight toward Richard Cross. Time slowed. Sasha watched in horror as the ball flew true, struck the back of Richard's head with a sickening thunk, and sent one of the most powerful men in American business crashing to his knees. Oh my God. Sasha dropped the club. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. She ran toward Richard, or tried to. Her borrowed golf shoes caught on the edge of the golf bag. She went down hard, arms windmilling, and tumbled directly into the decorative koi pond that bordered the first tee. Cold water closed over her head. She surfaced sputtering, designer athleisure now completely ruined, and felt something wriggling against her neck. A koi fish, tangled in her hair. Sasha screamed. "Hold on, I've got you." Ethan rushed to help, reached for her hand, and his own expensive golf shoes hit the algae-slicked edge of the pond. He fell in with a spectacular splash. Now they were both in the pond. Both soaking wet. Both covered in algae that smelled like rotting vegetation and shame. And Sasha still had a fish in her hair, flopping frantically as she tried to untangle it without touching it, because it was a fish in her hair. Club staff appeared, rushing toward the disaster. Members gathered at a safe distance, phones out, capturing every humiliating second. Richard sat on the grass, one hand to his head, looking dazed. Did she just assault me with a golf ball? "I am so sorry," Sasha called from the pond, fish still flailing. Catherine had collapsed on a bench, laughing so hard no sound came out. Eleanor's golf cart puttered up. The matriarch surveyed the scene. Sasha covered in pond scum with wildlife in her hair, Ethan dripping algae from his $2,000 polo shirt, Richard holding his head, glass still tinkling from the shattered clubhouse window. "Well," Eleanor said cheerfully, "at least life won't be boring." Security arrived. Two men in blazers who took one look at Sasha and clearly decided she was a trespasser who'd somehow infiltrated their exclusive sanctuary. "Ma'am, you need to leave the premises immediately." "She's with me," Richard said, still sitting on the grass, still holding his head where her golf ball had struck. "Are you certain, Mr. Cross?" "Unfortunately, yes." Richard's lips twitched despite the pain. "She's my future daughter-in-law." The security guard's expressions were priceless. Somewhere in the chaos, paparazzi had appeared. Sasha would later discover that Catherine had texted her publicist friend for fun, never imagining the disaster would be this spectacular. Cameras captured everything. Sasha being escorted from the pond with a fish still visible in her tangled hair, Ethan protective and soaked beside her, members staring in scandalized horror. By evening, the photo would be everywhere. Headline: "Billionaire, CEO's hole-in-one. Straight to the ER." In the car, wrapped in borrowed country club towels, Sasha couldn't speak. Humiliation had stolen her voice, her dignity, any pretense that she belonged in Ethan's world. Ethan drove in silence and she waited for the mockery. The inevitable "I told you so." The confirmation that she'd just destroyed any chance his family would accept her. Instead, he laughed. Not cruel laughter, not mockery. A genuine, full-bodied laugh that transformed his entire face, made him look years younger, reminded her of who he'd been in the garden with his nieces and nephews. "Don't," Sasha said. "I didn't say anything." "You're thinking it." "I'm thinking a lot of things." Another laugh escaped. "You hit my father with a golf ball." "I'm aware." Then fell into a pond. Also aware. While trying to impress my family. Ethan glanced at her, eyes dancing with amusement that held no cruelty. Just delight. "There was a fish in your hair, Sasha." She covered her face with her hands. "Kill me now." His hand closed over her wrists, gently pulling her hands down so she had to look at him. They loved it. "What?" "You're real. Messy. Human. Trying too hard and failing spectacularly." They loved every second. His smile was soft, genuine. "My father hasn't laughed like that since my mother died." "Catherine texted me that you're refreshingly disastrous." "Eleanor wants to teach you to cook, which, fair warning, will probably result in similar chaos." Sasha stared at him. This man she'd married for all the wrong reasons, and saw something she'd never seen before. Kindness. Real kindness with no agenda behind it. Your laugh is different with them, she said quietly. My laugh? At work, you never laugh. With your family, you're lighter, like a different pattern. Ethan's smile faded. His hand fell away from hers. With them, I'm me. With you, I'm... He stopped, jaw tightening. Someone else, Sasha finished. Someone I made you become. Silence filled the car. Heavy. True. I'm sorry, she said. The words came out raw. For making you someone else. For taking away your laugh. For all of it. Ethan nodded slowly. I know. Not acceptance, not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. A first step towards something neither of them could name yet. His phone buzzed. Then hers. Then both again in rapid succession. The photos had gone viral. Billionaire CEO's hole-in-one. Straight to the ER. There she was. Mid-fall. Fish clearly visible. Ethan reaching for her with panic and something that looked like genuine concern. They looked ridiculous. Chaotic. Messy. Real. This is a disaster, Sasha said. This is perfect. Ethan smiled at his phone. How is this perfect? Because no one, not Simone, not the FBI, not anyone, will believe we're faking. Real couples have disasters. Real couples make fools of themselves trying to impress each other's families. Real couples end up in ponds with fish in their hair. He was right. Their carefully planned performance had just become accidentally, completely, devastatingly convincing. Through sheer catastrophe, they'd made it real. Location? Cross Estate Gardens. 3 weeks later. 3 weeks passed in a blur of strategic public appearances, carefully staged paparazzi moments, and media coverage that painted them as the year's most romantic couple. The golf disaster had made them beloved. Relatable billionaires who fell into ponds and hit people with golf balls. Social media couldn't get enough. But in private, Sasha and Ethan had barely spoken. Professional distance maintained like a demilitarized zone neither dared cross. Until today, wedding day. Sasha stood in the Cross Estate guest room, staring at her reflection in a full-length mirror, while Catherine and Julia fussed with her veil. The Vera Wang dress was perfection. Ivory silk, fitted bodice, flowing skirt that managed to be both classic and modern. Hair swept into an elegant updo, makeup flawless. She looked like a bride. She felt like a fraud. This isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't real. Except her hands were shaking. Her heart was racing. And the woman in the mirror looked terrified in a way that had nothing to do with performance. Nervous? Catherine adjusted the veil with practiced hands. Terrified, Sasha admitted. Julia laughed, warm and understanding. That's completely normal. I threw up before my wedding. Really? Twice. Marriage is terrifying. Julia squeezed her shoulder. You're binding your life to another person, trusting them with everything. Of course it's scary. Even when you love someone? The question slipped out before Sasha could stop it. Especially then, Catherine said softly. Love makes you vulnerable. That's the whole point. Sasha's chest tightened. She wasn't in love. This was a contract. A transaction. 6 months and done. Then why can't you breathe? A knock interrupted her spiral. Eleanor entered carrying a small velvet box, her expression uncharacteristically serious. Something old, dear. She opened the box to reveal an antique sapphire necklace. Platinum setting, stones the color of midnight, clearly priceless, clearly treasured. Sasha's breath caught. Eleanor, I can't... Catherine wore this on her wedding day. Ethan's mother. Eleanor's voice was gentle, but firm. She'd want you to have it. You don't even know me. Sasha's voice cracked. Eleanor stepped closer, taking Sasha's face in her soft, aged hands. I know you make my grandson feel again. I know you brought him home. I know that when he looks at you, there's something in his eyes that's been missing for 2 years. She smiled. That's enough for me. She clasped the necklace around Sasha's neck. The weight of it settled against her collarbone. Cool metal, warm history. The responsibility of wearing a dead woman's jewelry to a fake wedding. Sasha blinked back tears that had no business being there. The garden had been transformed. White roses everywhere, climbing trellises, adorning the aisle, perfuming the air with impossible beauty. A string quartet played Pachelbel. 150 guests filled elegant chairs, intimate for billionaires, overwhelming for someone who'd been alone for 17 years. Board members sat in rows like judges. Media photographers lurked at the property's edge, telephoto lenses trained on every moment. And there, 3 rows back, Sasha spotted them, the federal investigators who'd approached her at dinner, watching, waiting for her to slip. Simone Jenkins sat near the front, invited because Richard Cross invited all his business associates. She wore burgundy, blood dark, and smiled like she was attending an execution. Everyone watching, everyone judging, everyone waiting to see if the devil in Stilettos could actually pull off becoming a wife. Sasha stood at the garden's entrance, bouquet trembling in her hands, no father to walk her down the aisle because her father had died when she was 16 and left her completely alone. Richard Cross appeared at her side, elegant in his morning suit. Ready? I don't have anyone to... Sasha started. I insist. He offered his arm with old-fashioned formality. No daughter of mine walks alone. Daughter. The word hit like a physical blow. Sasha looked up at this man she'd known for 3 weeks. This powerful patriarch who had every reason to reject her and found only warmth. Thank you, she whispered, taking his arm before she broke down completely. They walked towards the altar, and Sasha's eyes found Ethan. Charcoal grey Tom Ford suit that fit like it was painted on. Hair perfect, face unreadable, standing with the posture of someone facing execution or salvation. He wasn't sure which. He watched her approach, and something flickered in his eyes. Not love, not yet, but something. Recognition, respect, fear that mirrored her own. We're really doing this. The officiant began, hired. Professional, believing every word of the ceremony he was performing. Traditional vows that felt anything but traditional when you were lying to everyone you knew. Ethan Cross, do you take Sasha Morrison to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, until death do you part? Ethan paused. The silence stretched. Too long. Guests shifted uncomfortably. Sasha's heart stopped beating. He's going to say no. He's going to expose everything right here, right now, in front of everyone. I do. Relief and disappointment crashed through her in equal measure. He'd said yes. They were still in the lie. Still trapped. Still. Sasha Morrison, do you take Ethan Cross to be your lawfully wedded husband? To have and to hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, until death do you part. Sasha looked at him. This man she'd tormented for 3 years. This man holding all her secrets, all her crimes, all her future in his hands. This man who could destroy her with one word, or save her with his silence. I do. And meant it more than she'd expected. The rings appeared. Platinum bands, simple and elegant. Ethan took her hand, and she felt the tremor in his fingers. He slid the ring onto her finger, and it fit perfectly. How had he known her size? When had he learned the details of her body well enough to guess? Her turn. She slid the ring onto his finger, felt the solid weight of it, and realized with devastating clarity this was real, legal, binding. She was married. You may now kiss the bride. Ethan's hand rose to cup her face, gentler than she'd ever felt him be. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away, time to protest, time to remember this was performance. Their lips met. It was supposed to be brief, professional, convincing but controlled. The kiss lasted. His hand tightened in her hair, tilting her head to deepen the contact. Her fingers clutched his lapels, pulling him closer. The guests faded. The music disappeared. The garden, the flowers, the watching eyes. Everything vanished until there was only this. His mouth on hers, his hand cradling her face like she was precious, her body leaning into his like coming home. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard, eyes locked. Mutual panic written across both faces. What was that? The guests erupted in applause. Cheering, celebrating, neither heard it. Ethan's thumb brushed across her cheekbone, the gesture devastatingly tender. "We did it," he whispered. "Yeah," Sasha managed, voice shaking. But what had they done? Pulled off the perfect con? Or crossed a line they could never uncross? They walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, Sasha's hand in Ethan's, his thumb stroking her knuckles in a rhythm that felt unconscious, automatic, real. She saw Simone in the crowd, predatory smile sharp as knives. Saw the federal investigator taking notes in a small leather book. Saw Eleanor watching with a knowing smile that suggested she saw everything. Saw Richard, approval mixed with concern, like he was watching his son walk into either triumph or tragedy. The reception began in a blur. Cocktail hour, endless photographs. Guests congratulating them with varying degrees of sincerity. Board members assessed. Media captured. Everyone performed their roles. Ethan pulled her aside during the chaos into a garden alcove hidden from prying eyes. "That kiss," he started. "Was for show," Sasha finished quickly. Too quickly. "Right, for show." He didn't sound convinced. Neither did she. Silence hung between them, heavy with everything unspoken. "We need to talk about tonight," Ethan said. Tonight. First night as a married couple. Sharing a bed. Sharing a life. "The penthouse," Sasha said. "We'll figure it out." More awkward silence. "This is legally binding," Ethan said. And was that wonder in his voice? Or horror? "I know." "We're actually married." "I know. For 6 months. Then divorce." "Right. 6 months." But they both sounded less certain than they should. "Ladies and gentlemen, the bride and groom's first dance." The announcement pulled them back to performance. A romantic song. Something ironic given their circumstances. Ethan's hand settled on her waist, hers on his shoulder, and they were too close, too intimate, too real. "Everyone's watching," he murmured. "Then we should look happy." She forced a smile. He spun her, pulled her closer, and his breath was warm against her ear. "You do look happy," he said. Something dark in his voice. "That's what scares me." "What?" "Nothing. Just don't forget this is temporary." "I won't." But the way he held her, like she mattered, like she was his, felt permanent. After the dance, Eleanor appeared at Sasha's elbow. "Beautiful ceremony, dear?" "Thank you." Eleanor's sharp eyes studied her face. That kiss wasn't fake. Sasha's breath caught. "It was for... I know what it was supposed to be. I'm telling you what it was." She patted Sasha's hand and walked away, leaving chaos in her wake. Sasha watched Ethan across the reception. Charming guests, laughing with his family, playing the perfect groom. Playing? Or was this real? The kiss had felt real. The vows had felt real. The ring on her finger felt real. What have I done? Location: Sasha's penthouse wedding night. The limo pulled up to Sasha's building at midnight, and the paparazzi were waiting. Of course they were. Someone had tipped them off. Probably the same publicist who'd captured the golf disaster, turning their humiliation into viral gold. "Ready?" Ethan asked. Sasha nodded, exhausted from hours of performance. From smiling until her face ached, from pretending this was the happiest day of her life. Ethan exited first, then offered his hand. She took it, emerging into a storm of camera flashes. And then, without warning, he swept her into his arms. The traditional threshold carry. And the photographers went wild. Sasha's arm wrapped around his neck instinctively. He was warm, solid, and carrying her like she weighed nothing. Through the lobby, past the doorman's knowing smile, to the elevator where he finally set her down. The doors closed. Performance over. They rode up 43 floors in silence. Sasha's feet ached in Louboutins she'd been wearing for 12 hours. Ethan's tie hung loose, his jacket unbuttoned. The wedding finery that had looked so perfect now felt like costumes they couldn't wait to shed. But the awareness between them crackled like live wire. That kiss. That devastating, impossible kiss that had lasted too long and felt too real. Neither mentioned it. The elevator opened directly into her penthouse. Ethan's belongings had been moved in while they were at the reception. His suits hanging in her closet. His books on her shelves. His presence invading every corner of her carefully controlled space. He stood in the foyer, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the minimalist furniture, the sterile perfection of her life. "Which room?" he asked. "What? Which bedroom should I take? You have 3. "Oh, separate rooms. Of course. This was a transaction, not a marriage. Not really." Relief flooded through her. And underneath it, something that felt uncomfortably like disappointment. "The guest room. East side." Ethan nodded, grabbing his overnight bag. "Makes sense." He started toward the hallway, and Sasha's mouth opened before her brain engaged. "Wait." He turned, eyebrows raised. "People will talk," she said. "Staff, building security. They notice things." "About?" "Newlyweds in separate bedrooms on their wedding night." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "You want me to share your room?" "For appearances." "Right." His voice was flat. "Appearances." Sasha's master suite was all glass and steel, modern, cold, perfect. The king bed dominated the space, suddenly seeming both too large and not large enough. Ethan set his bag down, looking around the room with the careful assessment of someone mapping escape routes. "I'll sleep on the couch." "There's no couch in here?" He looked around. She was right. Nothing but bed, nightstands, and acres of expensive emptiness. "Floor, then." "Don't be ridiculous." Before he could respond, Sasha started gathering pillows. Decorative cushions from the bench at the foot of the bed. Throw pillows from the chair. Extra pillows from the closet. She piled them down the center of the mattress with the precision of someone building fortifications. "What are you doing?" Ethan watched, bemused. "Building a wall." She added rolled blankets for good measure. "Your side, my side. We never crossed the line. You're serious. Completely." "Sasha, it's a pillow wall, not the Great Wall of China." "It'll work." She stepped back, surveying her construction. Elaborate, absurd, necessary. Getting ready for bed was an exercise in awkward negotiation. Sasha disappeared into the bathroom first, taking an absurdly long time to remove makeup, take down her hair, change into silk pajamas that cost more than most people's monthly rent, designer armor for sleeping. When she emerged, Ethan took his turn. He came out in a faded t-shirt and pajama pants, casual and comfortable in a way that made him look younger, more approachable, dangerous. Sasha tried not to stare at the way the shirt stretched across his shoulders, failed miserably. They approached the bed from opposite sides like gunfighters at high noon, climbed in carefully. The pillow wall loomed between them, ridiculous and necessary in equal measure. "Good night," Sasha said. "Good night." Lights off. Darkness descended. But awareness remained. His breathing, the warmth radiating from his side of the bed, the knowledge that only pillows separated them. Neither slept. "Sasha? Yeah, that kiss today." His voice came through the darkness. "What about it?" Her heart raced. "It was for the cameras." "I know, but it felt—" "I know." Silence stretched. Heavy. True. 6 months, Ethan said finally. 6 months, she agreed. "Then we're done." "Done." Neither sounded certain anymore. "Can I ask you something?" Sasha said. "Depends. Why did you really work for me? You're Richard Cross's son. You could have done anything." Long pause. When he spoke, his voice was raw. "My mother died 2 years ago. My father and I fought about her medical care. Said terrible things, the kind of things you can't take back." He exhaled shakily. "I walked away from everything. The money, the company, him. I took the job with you to prove I could succeed without his name, on my own merit. First, real honesty." Sasha's chest tightened. "And did you? Succeed?" His laugh was bitter. "You stole every success I had. So no. I'm sorry. For all of it." "Are you? Or are you just sorry you need me now?" The question demanded honesty. "I don't know. I don't know who I am without the armor anymore. I've been alone since I was 16. I forgot how to be anything else." "You're not alone now." "Aren't I? This is fake. We're fake." "Are we?" The question hung in darkness, unanswerable and terrifying. Sasha turned toward the pillow wall. She couldn't see him, but felt him there, breathing, thinking, existing in her space in ways no one ever had. "Ethan? Yeah. Thank you. For today. For bringing me back to your family. They love you, genuinely." "Why?" "I hit your father with a golf ball." His laugh rumbled through the darkness. "Because you're real with them. You don't perform." "I perform everywhere. Not in that pond." She smiled despite everything. First genuine smile in hours. Silence settled, comfortable now. Their breathing synchronized. Sasha's hand rested near the pillow wall. On the other side, she could sense Ethan's hand in almost the same position, almost touching. Neither moved to close the gap, but neither moved away. "We're married," Sasha whispered. "Legally. For 6 months." "Right. Then divorce." "Yes." But in the darkness, with only pillows between them and truth, both wondered if 6 months would be enough time to destroy them, or save them, or blur the line between performance and reality until neither could tell the difference anymore. Location: wedding reception. Earlier that evening? Flashback. The reception had been in full swing when the man approached. Sasha was alone for a moment. Ethan across the garden with his father, champagne flowing, laughter echoing through the roses. The man was unremarkable. Early 50s, forgettable suit, the kind of face that disappeared in crowds. But something about him set off every alarm Sasha had spent 17 years developing. "Miss Morrison, congratulations on your marriage." "Thank you. And you are?" He pulled out a badge. "FBI, White Collar Division." Sasha's blood turned to ice. "Special Agent David Morrison." No relation, I assume? A thin smile at the shared last name. No, sir. Beautiful ceremony. Very sudden. He watched her face carefully. 3 years as employee and employer. Then engaged within weeks. Married within a month. Each word landed like an accusation. When you know, you know. Sasha forced her voice steady. Agent Morrison's smile said he didn't believe a word. I'm sure you're aware that marriages of convenience can constitute fraud. Federal fraud. This isn't... I'm not suggesting anything. Just making you aware that we're monitoring high-profile unions for irregularities. His eyes held hers. Tax fraud. Insider trading. Immigration violations. Marriage fraud. He was listing her actual crimes. Just routine for people of your visibility. We'll be watching, Mrs. Cross. Enjoy your honeymoon. He walked away, leaving Sasha frozen. Then she saw them. Another agent by the bar. A third near the garden entrance. They weren't hiding. They wanted her to know. This was active investigation. Ethan appeared at her side. What did he want? FBI. They're watching us. They know this is fake. They suspect. They don't know. What's the difference? Evidence. His jaw tightened. They're fishing. Don't give them any. Across the garden, Simone Jenkins raised a champagne glass. Watching Sasha's panic. Watching the FBI agents. Watching everything. Then she moved toward Agent Morrison. Sasha watched in horror as Simone spoke quietly to the agent, gestured toward her and Ethan, handed over what looked like documents. The agent took notes, nodded, looked directly at Sasha with new interest. She's feeding them information, Sasha whispered. I see it. She's going to destroy us. Not if we destroy her first. Ethan's expression was granite. How? I'm working on it. Trust me. Do I have a choice? No, you really don't. Eleanor appeared, taking Sasha's trembling hand. The first year of marriage is always the hardest, dear. Eleanor, this isn't... I know what this is, and I know what it will become. Either your salvation or your destruction. Possibly both. She walked away, leaving Sasha surrounded by celebration while FBI agents circled and Simone smiled like she'd already won. 6 months suddenly felt impossible. Later, in the darkness of their first night together, Sasha's phone buzzed. Unknown. Congratulations, Mrs. Cross. The FBI's the least of your problems. I'm just getting started. Enjoy your honeymoon. SJ, if you're hooked on Sasha and Ethan's dangerous game of fake marriage and real feelings, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss episode 3, where the pillow wall comes down, the FBI turns up the heat, and that wedding night kiss becomes a problem neither of them can ignore. Drop a comment telling me, do you think Ethan still has feelings for Simone's offer? Or is he all in on protecting Sasha now? I read every theory. Share this with someone who loves billionaire romance with actual stakes, enemies to lovers' tension, and couples who fall in love while pretending to be in love. They'll thank you. Episode 3 drops soon, and trust me. Things are about to get messy. Federal investigations, forced proximity, and 2 people who can't keep pretending forever. Thank you for joining Sasha and Ethan on their wedding day. A day that was supposed to be fake, but felt devastatingly real. That kiss wasn't scripted. Those vows hit differently. And now they're married, sharing a bed with only pillows between them and truth. Sometimes the most dangerous lies are the ones we tell ourselves. Like pretending we don't feel what we feel. Like building walls and hoping they'll hold. Like believing 6 months is enough time to fall out of love with someone you were never supposed to love in the first place. I hope this episode gave you all the tension, all the feels, and all the just one more episode energy you needed. Take care of yourself. remember that real love doesn't require contracts or performances. It just requires showing up as your messy, imperfect, fish in your hair self. I'll see you in episode 3, where Sasha and Ethan discover that the hardest part of a fake marriage isn't the lying. It's when you stop wanting it to be fake. Until then, keep believing in second chances. Even for devils who've learned to kneel.